Hello and welcome back everybody to the Food Build Factory, where today we're going to take a look at Mrs. Funtime. That's the girl you can see on screen right now. And as always, I'm going to show you some gameplay in the first part of the video, and in the second part of the video we're going to take a look at the perks, mutations, equipment, and everything else you need to know in order to recreate the character if you want to do so. So let's get right into it. What this is going to be about, as you can probably tell already, we are going to play as a gladiator build, meaning we are using making focus of using one-handed melee weapons. A one of the very underutilized classes in this game, for the simple reason that it's arguably the weakest of all the melee classes. Talking about Slugger, which is definitely better, having higher damage output, and on the other hand, we have unarmed characters, which are probably king at the moment and will probably always be, for the simple reason that they just have a few things going for them, like multiple mutations boosting their damage and so forth. So why is the gladiator class so underutilized? Well, for once, just like I told you already, it is because there's just better options if you want to go for melee. And the other one is that, it's basically a problem that a lot of or multiple weapons in this game have. It's similar to I would say gunslingers, where they do have their disadvantages compared to other weapons, but fall short in terms of advantages they should have. Meaning that for the longest time, in Fallout games, you had a bit of a payoff. You said, okay, we are not going for two-handed weapons, for big, large weapons, because they have rather slow swing speed but hit hard. Um, on the other hand, you could have used gladiator weapons like this one here, which swang very fast but didn't do as much damage. So this is a little bit how those classes balanced each other's out. And furthermore, things like knives and so on have always been rather well implemented into VATS in uh, earlier games. They worked rather well with VATS. Um, First and foremost, VATS in Fallout 76 just doesn't work out all that well for melee to begin with, which is a bit of a shame. Even nowadays, that they have added some extra legendary effects and uh, the ability to get legendary effects on weapons that boost your VATS capabilities. Yeah, VATS with melee weapons still lags compared to just using melee weapons in a way you would expect, just smashing the button. So, all of that combined means that you will rarely see someone using a machete or a cattle prod or anything like that. If you see people using melee, which is rather rare to begin with today, um, you will see them use either something like a super sledge, a war glaive, or more likely even something like a power fist. So, yeah, what I did though is I was actually making this video for two simple reasons. Firstly, I want to show off. Wait a second, I really forgot to do that. An armor set, which I gobbled together. This here power armor set is actually a full set of overeaters armor. And in addition to that, we are going to take a look at a weapon um, that is rather interesting. So first and foremost, the power armor is probably the more interesting thing for most of you guys. I was actually kind of disappointed in it. Um, for those who don't know, power armor in this game has always been rather good for the simple reason that it has an inbuilt damage reduction in addition to high damage resistances. So that means that all damage that is coming in will get greatly reduced, which is pretty much always the more powerful or more beneficial option than having damage reduction. And the newly introduced overeaters effect for armor, which you can get on power armor as well, does
pretty much the same thing. You can get up to 6% damage reduction with each piece if you are fully hydrated and your hunger is satisfied. That means that, yeah, combining all of this together, we are talking about, I think it's something like 40, around 40% damage reduction from your power armor as it is, and then 5 times 6, so another 30% damage reduction from the overeaters effect, combining to, yeah, basically reduce your damage by, what is it, 70% around among the lines. And while this is not bad, it's not performing as well as I actually thought. Keep in mind here we are facing rather weak enemies at the moment, and yeah, if you're really going up against super mutants, especially ones with high fire rates and so on, yeah, that's when you will really see the armor not doing as well as you probably expect. That being said, though, it's still good, and one thing to keep in mind is we're not having the best weapon armor to begin with. We're basically having 2 T41 B sets and, sorry, 3. The torso and the legs are T41, T45, sorry, and the arms are radar arms. So we're not even having a matching set, but I figured for the purpose of showcasing the video, this was probably enough. And the other interesting thing I wanted to talk about is obviously the weapon. There's a good chance that you have never seen anyone using this weapon. I'm actually so sure about this, I would be willing to bet money, probably, for one simple reason. This weapon here is called the Space Invader, and it's not just because it's rare or hard to find or anything. It's quite the opposite, actually. This weapon here is a very special case that, as far as I can recall, Bethesda has only done with one other weapon, and this all comes back to the Atom Shop, basically. So, pretty much when Bethesda started to include weapon skins, so it was rather early on in the timeline, um, they haven't really figured out how to do that yet and made some decisions that were rather, well, questionable, let's say. We're talking about this here weapon, the Space Invader, and there's another one, I'm not quite sure how it's called exactly, it's the Sheep Squatch Head or so, which basically were skins and were also marketed as skins as far as I remember. Also, they even make sure which weapon this is a skin for, and that is the combat knife. But if you were to purchase this skin, oh come on, please land. I'm not. I mean, I want to talk the whole day, but I want to kill stuff in the meantime. Okay, I think we just leave that Scorch Beast alone and decided to now not land anymore. Not do anything. Okay, no, he's moving again. Anyways, back to the weapon. While it is sold as a skin for the combat knife, as far as I can remember, it's actually not a skin for anything. It's a whole unique weapon, and you can actually, if you buy this skin, you can actually craft the weapon. This first and foremost sounds a bit like pay to win, if the weapon was any good, which it's not really. It's very easy to get the exact same weapon with another skin in the game, talking about the combat knife. And furthermore, this decision was rather stupid because back when the weapon was sold, there was just no way to get a legendary version of it because obviously legendary crafting wasn't a thing back then, and you basically wouldn't find anyone using a non-legendary weapon. That's just not how the game works. And you would guess as a developer you would be aware of the fact, but for some reason, yeah, Bethesda really decided to bring out this weapon in this exact way. Like, yeah, still a baffling decision to me. And as I said, this is not the only weapon. I think I can remember another weapon which was basically a skin for the Assaultron head, a rather terribly bugged weapon to begin with. So it's one of those skins that even if everything went right, you would think no one would be using because the weapon's just so terrible. But yeah, even if you had a Soldier head you would want to use, yeah, the skin wouldn't be helping because it's the same thing as with this here um, Space Invader. It's just a craftable weapon that you unlock rather than a skin for a weapon that you already have, meaning that yet again there were no versions, no legendary versions of it. And honestly, I did not expect any of this to change with the last update. I haven't looked into the Sheep Squatch head because, firstly, as I said, the weapon is terrible and I don't have the skin. I'm not going to buy it just to experiment with. But yeah, I've taken a look at this here weapon just because I wanted to make a VATS melee build. That was actually the premise for this build when I started out. And yeah, just to fool around with, I crafted one of these things because yeah, sometimes they're funny and yeah, um, if I'm testing new builds which don't work really well yet, I often go to just low level areas just to test things out. And I thought, well, yeah, why not use this weapon for once? I already have the skin, so yeah, let's see. And yeah, interestingly enough, when I wanted to modify it, which you can do with the exact same mods as a combat knife, talking about the stealth blade and the serrated blade, um, yeah, I found out that you can actually make these things legendary now, which is rather fun and ridiculous. Um, yeah, I just said it. Basically, the whole weapon is an exact copy in terms of stats to the combat knife. It's the exact same weapon. There's no big difference here. You can have the exact same stats, the exact same modifications, the exact same wing speed. It's yeah, the same animation, everything. And you can basically swing it super fast. We also have one version with a faster swing speed effect. But yeah, as I just talked about, I did start this build here out as a VETS melee build. Um, I wanted to do something a bit ridiculous, like a power armor VETS melee build. To get around not using stealth and be tanky, but yeah, just see how everything went. And surprisingly, I found out that VETS in power armor is actually very viable for the simple reason that with melee weapons, because for some reason melee combat in VETS does not drain your fusion cores harshly at all. Like, all I did was use the power user perk, and I never even went through a single fusion core, which is interesting because, yeah, I was actually using versions of this weapon here, and yeah, as you can tell, they are rather fast swinging, so I went through a lot of AP in the process, comparable to a rifle or anything, but for some reason, yeah, melee VETS does not drain your fusion core as heavily as, or even as close to as heavily as ranged combat. Which is an interesting thing, and I'm sure we want to revisit that. The only reason I did not bother to went through with the build, it was actually rather finished in terms of perks and mutations and everything. Yeah, the only reason I didn't really go through with it is I am now for about 2 weeks basically trying to get a good legendary version of this here weapon that will actually help me with VATS. Now, we could use the exact same build I had with this here weapon and it would do just fine, but the thing is I really wanted to, if I were to go through with a VATS build, also have a weapon that, yeah, has actually some benefits when it comes to VATS. Talking about VATS crit, less VATS cost, but yeah, in like 14 or so tries or 15 tries on getting a good version of this weapon, I only twice got something related to VATS, and in those cases, the rest of the weapon was terrible. Like I got a nocturnal version with extra VATS crits, and I think it was less damage while blocking or something like that. And then I got a Zealot's limp damage version with less VATS cost or so. These were the best suited weapons for VATS. And Yeah, I also got a Gourmand's version with 25% damage while standing still, which was a bit interesting. The Gourmand's effect obviously would have worked well with our armor set since we already try to be in the condition that would be necessary in order to get a damage buff for our um, Gourmand's version. And furthermore, yeah, as far as the game concerned, using melee in VATS should be counted as standing still. Like at least that's what it was in Fallout 4. But I couldn't really verify it just because, yeah, 25% additive damage on melee weapons is honestly negligible. It's so painfully low that, yeah, you won't really see it. It's hard to verify it. So basically, the build would have been living completely off the hack and slash legendary perk. And yeah, long story short, I'm talking about a completely different build that we not actually went through here. Yesterday, I got a anti-armor swing speed version of the weapon, which we can see in this video here. And yeah, I thought, yeah, we have another good melee weapon that is good for wets, and I will use that on another build and use this build just to basically showcase the overeaters power armor, seeing how tanky we can get here. And in addition to that, yeah, seeing how well the damage output can be on a fast swinging gladiator weapon, because while you're not able to one-hit stuff, I actually feel like in most scenarios the gladiator weapons still have their benefits, or not really benefits, but they still have their justification. They are fun. There's just something about being in power armor and do these ridiculously fast swings. It looks so out of place. Um, it's just stupid, but I actually had a lot of fun with the build, which is always the most important thing for me. And even as you saw with the Scorch Beast, while we may not be super effective, it's not like we chew ourselves to death on the Scorch Beast. It actually worked rather fine. You obviously have to get it to land and so on, but yeah. I found that I can fight pretty much everything with this build, even milder queens and so on. The only thing that's going to change is that you will obviously have to use it a little bit more time every now and then. But yeah, since those enemies aren't really day-to-day enemies, I think it can be fun. And uh, yeah, the funniest thing I had was fighting a behemoth, I guess. Was really, it didn't take too long, like 2 to 3 minutes, which obviously seems very long for something like a stealth commando also, which can one mag the behemoth. But yeah, even then, 2 to 3 minutes is not the whole time, and yeah, you're not just constantly running into such enemies. So I think you can definitely use the build for everything. Where it worked surprisingly well was in daily ops. Actually, I thought that, yeah, um, the sheer fact that I had to face off the end bosses of the daily ops would basically make this unviable. But um, obviously there are some occasions where it doesn't work. But on most daily ops I did, I actually managed to get the Ela rank rather easily. The only one where I really didn't finish in any way was with healing enemies, because yeah, I was just not able to outdamage the healing of the boss at the end. But yeah, other than that, it was working rather well. I would have loved to use the whole let's play or playtime armor skin, but I had to go for something that seemingly fits the let's play armor for the arms, because as I said, those are Raider power armor pieces, and yeah, they aren't taking the skin. So this is the combination we went with, rather colorful, and I think I am really enjoying it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the build so far, guys. It went rather smoothly due to the fact that we are so tanky, and I think the damage output is okay. In terms of condition, we didn't lose too much, but we are spec'd into it, so you're going to see that soon. Let's first take a look at our mutations, which on this occasion are very limited. As you can see, we only have 3 mutations. We do have Marsupial, Speed Demon, and Twisted Muscles, which I deem to be the absolute bare minimum for a melee character. Now, there are a few noteworthy additions that we could go with. Talking about Scaly Skin, talking about Grounded, those would be nice. Egghead would probably be a good decision. But yeah, these 3, in my opinion, are enough on this occasion. Yeah, you can obviously go for more, but yeah, as I said, Marsupial extra jump height and carry weight. Speed Demon, faster movement speed. We're not really taking advantage of the reload speed, but yeah, being able to move faster in and of itself is nice to have, even though the debuff from Speed Demon contradicts our armor set here a little bit. But I found that, yeah, I didn't really bother to be at full health, at fully saturated and, no, saturated, fully hydrated and fully fed all the time. It was just something I did in addition when I was fighting in a tough event or so. And yeah, the only mandatory build mutation here is Twisted Muscles for extra melee damage and a chance to cripple. The chance to cripple come in rather handy with this weapon here because it swings so fast. You were able to see it rather well when I was fighting the robots because you can visually see parts of them falling off. This is basically crippling their limbs. So yeah, you have a high chance to cripple enemies, which is nice and really helps if you're fighting something like a Miler Queen or something. And yeah, moving on, we're now going to take a look at our equipment. So here it is, I already talked about it. This is an anti-armor, swing speed, less damage while blocking Space Invader. It's called the Invader, sorry. We do have a serrated blade, which adds a little bit of bleed damage and extra damage overall. Um, you could add a stealth blade, which obviously works well with stealth. It basically improves your stealth damage, but reduces your base damage. And yeah, so it wasn't really something for us. We went with the serrated blade, which was a rather good decision in my opinion. Overall, I gotta say, it's a shame that this weapon isn't better because it's actually quite fun. Not quite sure what the law would be about it. I guess there is none, but yeah, I quite enjoyed it. As you can see here, it does ballistic damage, even though it looks like it does electric damage, which is always a nice thing to do. And yeah, damage 99, fast swing speed, I think we can live with that. In terms of condition, yeah, as I said, we were losing something like 20 or to 30% in the video. Then we do have our power. Here we do have a Overeaters power armor left arm with AP refresh and Stimpaks right away being more effective, which is nice. Then we have an Overeaters piece with yet again Stimpaks being more effective and environmental disease resistance. And the rest here should be 1-star Overeater pieces for both the legs, which are T45, and the torso. Our torso has the major emergency protocols. Um, Simple reason here, I had the mod as a box on me, and I found that it was working rather well because we are basically using how's it called, Bone Survivor in order to save our ass when we are getting really low with our health. And emergency protocols make it so we're basically immortal because if we're getting damaged so far as to lose 80% of our health, we get really tanky for a short period of time in which we will heal. So yeah, it's really tough to kill us unless you're basically um, facing multiple enemies with damage over time. And lastly, we do have the helmet here, which is just a standard T45 helmet with no modifications or anything. So yeah, make with that what you want. And yeah, that leaves us with the perks here, and as you can see, we obviously have 15 strength. We use it for expert and gladiator at rank 3, incisor at rank 3, martial artist at rank 3, and traveling pharmacy at rank 3. So martial artist and incisor, those are no-brainers. They should be on every melee build with some very few exceptions. Um, Especially Incisor. Even though we are already using a anti-armor weapon, Incisor still gives us a great benefit. I was actually testing it on this occasion, trying to maybe use all Expert, Master, and Gladiator at rank 3 when dishing out Incisor, but we were actually dealing less damage overall than with Incisor and only 2 of these perks. So, yeah. Martial artists, yeah, further improve our swing speed. Very straightforward. That makes it so we can actually have this ridiculous swing speed here. And yeah, traveling pharmacy. Sadly, I do have to have it on my character. There's no backpack option on this occasion because we are in power armor. And yeah, I'm carrying a lot of stim packs, which wouldn't be necessary. So yeah, if you can live without it, just pop on another rank of gladiator. So master gladiator rank 3 that would be. But I would actually go for blocker rather. For the simple reason that yeah, the gladiator perks aren't as effective as they once were, due to the whole change in additive and multiplicative damages, and yeah, the actually better way to do it here would be to go for rank 2 of expert gladiator, gladiator, and master gladiator. That would leave you with an overall like 5% more damage than this combination here. But I didn't bother to level up 6 times in order to do that. 5 times I think I would have had to do it because on rank of gladiator I do have. So yeah, keep that in mind. It's just basically we want to have full strength, incisor and martial artist, and then whatever much gladiator we can put into here. In terms of perception, obviously we don't need a lot. We do have concentrated fire, which is absolutely useless here. We could go for one rank of glow sight, but yeah, that's not as important. I do have concentrated fire for the simple reason that I can check limbs if I'm equipping some kind of ranged weapon, to see the status of, let's say, a Scorch Beast's wings or anything. But yeah, do whatever you like here. It's a dumpstead for us. Then we do have Endurance at 11, which is yeah, rather high. You often see it not as high, but yeah. As you can see here, we do have Life Giver, Ghoulish, and Fireproof. Endurance is definitely one stat where I just dump in perks I do have at the moment because there's nothing we desperately need here. Fireproof is a good decision in my opinion always, but other than that, yeah, Life Giver just gave us a little bit of extra hit points. And Ghoulish here, well, it seems like it doesn't do a whole lot when you are in power armor because, yeah, power armor greatly reduces the radiation damage you're taking. Um, Actually, Ghoulish still works rather well in a lot of situations where you even get less or little radiation damage. So, for example, if we are around the fissure site, we get some constant healing going on. Even if it's not great, it's definitely there and noticeable. So that's not a lost perk, even though it may look like it. And as you can see, basically that leaves us with one extra endurance that we're not using currently. But to be honest, I just wanted to dump all the endurance perks, all the stat points that I don't need necessarily into endurance, just to yeah make us a little bit more tanky in addition to the overeaters power armor, and I think that was a good decision here. Then we do have rank 3 of charisma. We use tenderizer at rank 3, which is rather beneficial on this occasion, just for the simple reason that we are hitting so often. Like, yeah, we're stinging enemies all of the time with our little poker there, and therefore, yeah, tenderizer is definitely a good decision to use, giving us a 10% multiplicative damage bonus. Then we go on to intelligence, which is at a rather mediocre 8. We do have first aid rank 3 and makeshift warrior rank 5. Reason here is rather simple. As you will see in a second, we use one rank of Born Survivor, and with first aid at rank 3, that means that if we go down to 20% health and get our stim pack, we're basically back to full health all the time. And even with a um, diluted stim pack, we would probably be back to like 80% health. Keep in mind, we also have a 10% more effective healing from stim packs in addition to the first aid perk, just by having two of the armor pieces being 5% more effective healing items. And then we do have Makeshift Warrior. Use it or not use it, I think that especially on melee weapons, the perk card Makeshift Warrior compared to Gunsmith for ranged ones makes a way bigger difference than just 50% slower breaking, in my opinion. Like, I was using the weapon before without Makeshift Warrior, and I had a really tough time because yeah, it was breaking rather often, not because its condition is terrible, but just because you're hitting enemies so often with it that it doesn't really matter. On the other hand, now that we're basically using all we can, luck of the draw as well as makeshift warrior, I find that yeah, I had an easy time and the weapon was holding for ages, and yeah, didn't really lose condition greatly. So I just found it convenient, but you can go for something else, of course, here. Then we do have agility, which is at 11. You can see there three stats at 11 is rather rare side, I would guess. We do have Action Boy, Through Hiker at rank 2, Born Survivor at rank 1, and Adrenaline at rank 5. So the easy picks here are Adrenaline for extra damage and Action Boy. Those are pretty self-explanatory. Action Boy helps us do more power attacks in a shorter period of time because we're actually just healing or replenishing our AP rather fast. And yeah, Adrenaline gives us extra damage. These three perk points here are the more interesting ones, probably. So basically, Born Survivor at rank 1 is just there, as I mentioned already earlier, as a safety net, something I like to do very often. So I don't really have to worry about using a stim pack or watching my health bar during fights. I can just go in and fight enemies, really think about where I want to hit them, and so on. While I'm basically invincible in most situations because, yeah, our health basically, um, yeah, it manages itself, if that makes sense. So, yeah, if we really get down to 20% health, our emergency protocols kick in, making us very tanky, and yeah, we immediately start to heal off. So, yeah, emergency protocols for the most part aren't really in effect, but they're just a safety net as well in combination with this here Bond Survivor perk. And then two of our perk points went into Through Hiker, which is rather straightforward here. Yeah, we actually benefit greatly from being well fed and well hydrated. So yeah, I find it easy to just carry around a lot of stuff, which can really weigh you down, especially purified water or various meats. They can weigh you down, and with rank 2 of Through Hiker, reducing the weight by 60% already. Um, yeah, you don't really have to worry about it all that much. What you could do here is use 1 point of endurance, put it into agility, and max out Through Hiker, which at the time I didn't really bother with. But yeah, that's certainly a combination you could go through. But yeah, it's hardly making or breaking the build. It's just another bit of convenience. And that leaves us with 11 luck, where we do have Bloody Mess, Luck of the Draw, Starch Genes, and Ricochet. So Starch Genes is straightforward. We don't want to get new mutations and keep the ones that we do have. Ricochet just further gives us a little bit of tankiness. Doesn't have a synergy with our weapon or legendary effect here. I mean, technically, the ricochet bullets get a bit stronger by probably carrying our anti-armor effect, but to be honest, no one uses ricochet for the damage it reflects, but rather the fact that yeah, it's basically just 18% less damage from ranged attacks, if you put it like that. And then we do have Luck of the Draw and Bloody Mass. Bloody Mass, pretty easy, just gives us a little bit of extra damage. We're probably talking about something like 9 damage points or so you have to decide if 3 perk points are worth that to you. But I think on yeah, Gladiator builds, you can use every single bit of extra damage that you can get, so Bloody Mess wasn't a bad choice here for me. And lastly, Luck of the Draw. I already mentioned it during talking about Makeshift Warrior. The weapon tends to break rather fast because you're hitting so often, and Luck of the Draw makes it so that yeah, you get a great effect of it. It's not the best perk in the world. Yet again, you have to decide if 3 perk points are worth it to you. But I found that yeah, it was rather convenient. You could go with Class Freak. That would be a sensible decision in pretty much every single situation. But on this occasion, yeah, we had 3 mutations, so there wasn't really a good reason to use Class Freak. So other than that, yeah, do whatever you like here on this occasion. And then we move on to our legendary perks. So we do have legendary strength, legendary intelligence, and legendary endurance at rank 2, as you can see here. And yeah, those are the straightforward, boring ones that just give me access to a little bit more perk points. On this occasion, not all the time though. Like legendary strength is just boosting our strength beyond 15. We do have 50 base strength, 15, sorry, and this brings it up to 17. And yeah,
just gives us a little bit more melee damage. And as we saw, point of endurance isn't used at the moment. Legendary intelligence is fully used though, and that leaves us with the more interesting perks. We have Watt Rats here, electric absorption, and collateral damage. Yeah, pretty easy. Collateral damage just gives us a little bit of extra damage every now and then, especially fighting ghouls or so, and it can be a bit useful. Electric absorption is just a must-have for me whenever I use power armor. It's just too powerful, healing yourself and replenishing fusion core charges. Yeah, too good of an effect, especially the healing factor that comes with it. So yeah, that's why it's there. And what rats? Yet again, just a convenience thing. We could definitely be capable enough to use just Red X and Red Away to control our red situation, especially since we are in power armor. But yeah, I just like to have it here since, yeah, T45 and Raider armor aren't too good on the radiation resistance side as well. So yeah, if you're running through a nuke zone, especially, that's when, yeah, you will be happy to have what rats here. And yeah, that was it. I hope you enjoyed the build, guys. I hope you had fun watching it. Like, I had a lot of fun playing with it. And basically, yeah, as I said, like in minute 5 or so of the video, the build is rather straightforward. It's just a fast swinging melee build in power armor. So yeah, there's not a lot to talk about here. There would be a lot of possibilities to improve the build, especially now that legendary power armor is a thing. You could have a lot of pieces with AP refresh or better yet strength, which would be interesting. But yeah, what I wanted to do with this build is basically show off the overeaters effect. For everyone who was wondering, I guess there were a lot of people who said that, yeah, probably overeaters on power armor will be super overpowered. My guess is that it works additive with the inbuilt damage reduction from power armor because, yeah, if it was really a 70% damage reduction, it certainly didn't feel like it. But yeah, you be the judge. I guess sooner or later we will probably get some numbers on that as well. And yeah, the other thing I wanted to show off is yet that yeah, actually you can get a legendary Space Invader. So if some of you just want to use the weapon, go on, try it. I'm sure it can be used in very funny ways. It definitely is still silent, just like the combat knife, by the way. Even though it makes this whoop 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 sounds when you're swinging it. But yeah, it is a silent weapon. Still counts as one. I tried it, and yeah, there's definitely some funny builds you can make here in terms of the a Zetan build, Zetan Commander, Zetan Guard, or something. So yeah, if you come up with something, let me know. And otherwise, have a good nice day. Bye.